Hello guys, welcome to auxStream. This video is going to be an exciting one. I have made this video because we got immense response on our previous bottom sheet video tutorial. We got a lot of views, likes and comments, and people requested that uh, we need to make a tutorial on just connecting Firebase auth to this bottom sheet model that we have already developed. So I am here to just clear out the things and implement this Firebase in our bottom sheet model that we have already developed in our previous tutorial. The users that are consistent on my YouTube channel or the subscribers, they might be familiar with this kind of output, this kind of bottom sheet that we have already developed in our previous tutorials. The users that are new to the channel, they just don't need to worry. We have a recorded video already on our YouTube channel, and they can just follow the tutorial for developing out this bottom sheet if they want. The link will be just showing on their screen right now. So we have already developed this bottom sheet in our previous tutorials, in which we have used the animated library to just make this bottom sheet from scratch. So now in this tutorial, we are going to just implement authentication login, the registration and the login of this bottom sheet. We are going to make this bottom sheet realistic so that it can be used in our daily applications on the go. So without wasting much time, we'll just dive into the video tutorial. So first things first, we will need to just create a Firebase the project. If you are new to Firebase, you will have to go to firebase.google.com and register an account over there, and then you will be presented by this screen. So here what we are going to do is there are multiple options. First one is the Apple application. If we are going to just make an iOS application, then we will go with this. If you are going to make an Android application, we will just follow this thing. But here we are not going to make a native Android or iOS application, but we are just following the JavaScript version, the React Native. So we will go with the web version. So once we click on the web version, we will have to fill up a certain form to just register our application. So for example, here we will type in the name, login for the application, and we will click on the register app. So it will take some time in registering the app. So now we are presented by this code snippet and the instruction to just use this Firebase in our project. So first thing, we have to just install this Firebase in our code repository. So we'll copy this and we'll open the command prompt, and here we will just install Firebase. Till the time this dependency is installed, we will create another file here for the configuration of the Firebase. We will name this as Firebase config.js to make this code modular. So in this config file, what we need to do is copy this path. So what we are doing here is we are just creating a Firebase config object, and we are initializing this app. And then what we will do is we will just export this app variable so that it can be used in our component. So after that, we will go to the Firebase and we will select a module. What we want to do, we have to implement authentication, so we will click on here, authentication. So we will be presented by this screen. So here we have to now set up a sign-in method, the way by which we want the sign-in to be implemented in our app. So when we click on this, we will be presented by this. So right now we are going to have simple email, password, registration and authentication system. So we will click on this email and password. Right now we'll just disable this passwordless sign in, and we will enable this email password. by simple email password we are going to use this registration. If we want the password to be sent to the email, then we can click on the next option, which is email link. If we will click on this enable, then the password link will be sent to the email for login. But here we are doing simple email password login, so we can enable this and disable that one. So now when we go to the users, we can see that right now there are no users in our system. So now Firebase has also been installed. Now we will start the Metro bundler. Now we have created this app initialize variable, and now we will jump to this app.js and we will just import few methods and functions from the Firebase. First one is the get auth. The main purpose of this get auth function is to just initialize the auth variable, because we have initialized app in our Firebase config. Now we want to initialize the auth module out of it, so we are just importing this get auth from the Firebase auth. So now we will just initialize this auth, get auth, and inside of this function we will pass that f variable. So we will just import that app from Firebase config, and we will pass this app to this get auth. Since we are going to implement the login functionality here, so we are going to use the function out of it, sign in with email and password. So now we will just create a function handle login, and inside of it sign in with email and password. This function takes 3 parameters and it returns the promise response. First one, it take this auth variable that we have initialized. Second is the email, and third one is the password. Since it is a promise, so we will just initialize its then block and catch statement to catch any kind of error if we get during the process. So now to capture the value of email and password, we will create two state variables, email react.use state, and the other variable we will create is the password. And we will also initialize this as empty. So this email and password will be passed on this sign in with email and password. So now we will feed this to on change text, set email, and on change text password. So now we'll do a slight bit of checking. If the email is not present or the password is not present, we will present a model. If email is equal to empty or password is equal to empty, then return alert. and email are required, and we will call this function on the button click of login, handle login. So now when we click on the login, we will be presented by this alert: password and email are required. And if we enter an email, we'll just so test@test.com, and we'll enter password something 12345. So right now it's showing that auth invalid credentials, because this user is not right now registered in our system. So now we will implement the login functionality so that we have a working user to test the login functionality. So now we will go to the bottom sheet and do this. We have to do the similar stuff there too. So we will go to the bottom sheet and we will copy these things in the bottom sheet. So, and import statements too, we'll copy those too. We will need this get auth and create user with email and password. Now we will go to this username and password, rather its email, and we will set its on change text to set email and on change text to set password, and on touchable opacity on press we will handle. You'll create this function handle register right here, and inside of this we will do a little bit of checking. If email is equal to empty, or in future we can do multiple validations right here, like for password strength or email detection and other right here. If validation fails, then we will throw an alert: email and password are required. If the validation checks just passes, then we will create the user. Create user with email and password. It also takes the auth and email and password dot then and dot catch. We will log, or we will rather alert dot message if there is any error while creating the user. So when the user will be created, we will just close this modal at that time, and we will throw an alert after that. So for that we will just call the function close modal, and after that we will alert user created successfully. Now you can log in. So now we will create a test user test@gmail.com. Now we will keep the password. Now when we click on the register button, so the user has been created successfully. Now you can log into the system. So the user will now be created in our system. To check this, we will go to the Firebase console and we will refresh our records right here. We can see that a user test@gmail.com is created on 10 December, and here is its user ID that can be further implemented. We can use this user ID to connect it to our already developed system in which we want to add the authentication flow. So now the user has been successfully created. Now we will test our login functionality. We will see if the login is working perfectly or not. So right now, when we just successfully log in, we will just get the response that we will get from this API call. User credentials. So we will get constant user credentials dot user. So we'll log this response that we will get after successful login. So test@gmail.com was the user, and password that we have kept 123456. When we click on the login button, property AU doesn't exist. Oh, sorry, we have just deleted some parts of it. Now we can test it again. We can see that we have successfully logged in and we are getting the user response right here, in which we have API key, email verified, access token, and so on, so that we can use it in further subsequent calls. Now the next step is to just save this authenticated user into our async storage. So for that, we will install a package. We will install expo-secure-store. So this secure store, in this secure store, we will just save this authenticated user, so that we will save our login info, so that next time when the user visits our app, he will be logged into our system. So we will start our metro bundler and we will just put star as from expo-secure-store. So now we will use this secure store to store this user into our system. Since the storing of the item in the secure store is an async await call, so we will just make this function as async await, and we will use secure store dot set item async. It takes two parameters. One is the key, we will type it as user, and the another one is its response. So here we will just do json dot stringify, because it doesn't support the JSON object, so we will stringify this user object, so that whenever we will require, we will just have to do this. Now since navigators are not involved here, so we can just protect the routes or protect the screens and render the navigators accordingly. So here to keep it simple, we will create a state variable and we will store the status of the authenticated user in that state variable and render the views accordingly. So we will create a variable authenticated and set authenticated, and we will just initialize the state variable to false. So after this user has been stored in the secure storage, we will set this set authenticated to true. So now we will display this component only if the user is not authenticated. So we will just write this. So we will create a ternary if the user is authenticated, then display a view, and inside of the view right now we will display a simple text stating logged in. Firstly, we will reload our app because we had just stopped the Metro bundler. So to make it in sync with the Metro bundler, we need to reload this app. So right now we are presented by this login here component because we are not currently logged in. Now we will just try to log into our system, test@gmail.com, and password 123456. And when we press the login, you are now logged into our system, and we have successfully logged in to our system, and we have successfully implemented this login and register flow, this authentication flow using Firebase. So right now we have implemented this login functionality, and but right now it's not the correct way and the proper way to just display the protected screens. But this video was mainly focused and dedicated towards the implementation of the Firebase and not towards the protection of routes and protection of screens. So if you want me to make another video of this Firebase, the second part of it, in which the protection of routes and all will be included, and also how to implement this in core React Native. If you want the tutorial, separate tutorial on it, you can just comment down in the section below, and I will just respond to the comments and make a video, separate video on it, how to just protect the routes and all. Don't forget to show support to this video, and do like, share and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Till next time, bye bye.